All right, so today we're going to talk about transformations. You're going to be able to tell the difference between translations, dilations, and reflections. So let's just start off with some terminology. We have translations, right? In a translation, notice that we have this SL underline, right? That's going to be for SL for sliding. So we're going to be sliding an image from one place to another. All right, and you can see that our beginning image is IRT, and our ending image is I prime R prime T prime. Right, so we've slid this image. Well, it appears we have slid this image down and to the left, or to the right, to the right, to the right. All right, our next term is going to be reflections. Again, if you have this FL here, that's going to remind us that we're flipping a figure over a given line. Reflections. So it's like a mirror image. You can see here that our starting triangle was A, B, C, and our ending triangle is A prime, B prime, C prime. And what we've done is we've reflected this initial triangle right here, 1, over the y-axis, and it gives us our prime triangle number 2. Think of it more so as like if we were folding a piece of paper in the middle, right down this line, right? This shape, say it was like ink, would imprint this shape onto the other side. Let's talk about dilations. This is going to be enlarging or shrinking an image by a scale factor. Think of like when you go to the eye doctor and you get your eyes dilated. Right, so our starting shape is ABC. Our ending shape is A prime, B prime, C prime. So you can see here that our starting shape ABC is dilated, right? It is made larger, it is being enlarged, all right, to our A prime, B prime, C prime. So a couple of just quick examples. This would be an example of translation, because as you can see, this bus is just being moved. And it's just keep being moved and moved and moved. You've got a dilation here. You've got a large giraffe, which will then become a small giraffe. Or if you actually wanted to go with the way nature works, you have a small giraffe, which will then become a large giraffe. Here you have a reflection, right? We have a reflection of this boat right here. Dilation of this car. We have a large car becoming a small car. Reflection of a mountain, reflection of a mountain in a lake. And remember, with the reflection, you can kind of think, look, we have this mountain right here, right? And it's perfectly reflected, not that my drawing is perfectly reflected, but it's reflected into the lake. Oh, those are 2 more reflections. And last but not least, we have another translation. Look, like this shape gets moved, the shape gets moved to there, then it gets moved to there, then it gets moved to there, and it just keeps being moved. So if you see multiple shapes, you can kind of think, if they're the exact same shape and there's like 3 or 4 of them, translation. All right, now let's put some math to this. All right, so what are the coordinates of P prime? Well, that's going to be our end. That's what we're going to end with, is P prime. After P is translated -3 units horizontally and 2 units vertically. Well, let's remember that horizontally is going to be left or right. And if you go left, it's negative. If you go right, it's positive. And let's remember that vertically is up and down. And if you go up, it's positive. If you go down, it's negative. So we're going to start with letter P. And we are going to translate -3 units horizontally and 2 units vertically. So it's -3 horizontally, so we're going to go over 1, 2, 3 to the left, and 2 units vertically, so 1, 2, up. And this will be our P prime. From here, we just have to look at where our point is. Where is P? Remember, we always start at the origin, and we're going to go to the elevator. So we have to walk to the elevator. So it's 1 to the right, so that's a +1. So P prime is going to be 1. And then we go up 1, 2. P prime will be 1, 2. So C is our answer. Another way to look at this is you could essentially start with, let's get another color. What is P? All right, well, P is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't have to go up or down because on the x-axis, that's going to be 4, 0. Well, if I have 3 units horizontally left and right, that's my x. And if I have vertical, that's going to be my y. So I can do -3 for my x and a +2 for my y. Right? And you kind of think of that when you're working with this point. So your x value is going to go with your x and your y is going to go with your y. So 4 minus 3, so now my p prime would be 1, 0 plus 2 is 2. And again, it works both ways. All right, figure below is dilated by a scale factor of 1/2. What is the location of A prime? Well, if we're looking for A prime, we probably need to start with A. And let's look at what A is. So A is over 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my x. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between this point, this coordinate pair. And you guys will see why in a little while. So I'm going to go up 1, let's take my elevator, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 8. All right, well, my scale factor is 1/2. When you're doing dilation, we always want to multiply. So we're going to multiply our x and our y values by 1/2. Some of you guys are like, but Mr. Johnson, if you multiply by 1/2, isn't that the same as dividing by 2? Yep, you're perfectly correct. But just to make it simple, anytime you're doing a scale factor, I suggest you multiply. You don't want to accidentally get a scale factor of 3 and then divide by 3, right? We're always going to multiply. Plus, you can put 4 times 0.5 or 4 times 1/2 in Desmos. So our A prime is going to be 2, going to be 2, 4. See that our answer is D. All right, which figure shows the image reflected over the x-axis? All right, first things first, we need to figure out what our x-axis is, and this is in fact our x-axis. So if you're looking at this, let's start with A. If you look at this and you think the answer is A, you're incorrect because this is in fact reflected over the y-axis. And we want it to be over the x. So A is going to be out. If you look at B, you're getting a little bit closer, but notice this isn't an exact reflection. Remember, when you look in a mirror, you don't look at the back of your head. You look at your face, right? So it's kind of like they're going to be opposite. So if this was your eyeballs, you would be looking at the back of your head. So it cannot be B. Now, if we look at C, though, we'll see that C is, in fact, reflecting over the x-axis. First of all, it's working with the x-axis. And second of all, look, if your eyeballs were right here, you would be looking right back at yourself. All right, so C is our answer. And D, I have a feeling, is something that we'll be talking about tomorrow. It looks like a double reflection. All right, if you reflect the image of the rectangle over the x, over the y, all right, if you reflect the image of the rectangle over the y-axis, what would your new coordinate be for B prime? Well, we're looking for B prime, so why don't we start with B? Remember, we're reflecting over the y-axis, so let's look at our y-axis. All right, so the easiest way I think to do this is just to count. We're just going to do this little counting game. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. I hit my y-axis. I'm going to stop for a second. If it took me 3 steps to get to my y-axis, I need to go 3 steps past my y-axis. That's going to be 1, 2, and 3. And that's going to be my B prime. Again, you still have to remember how to find your coordinate pair for a point. So we always start at the origin, which is 0. And we're going to count. We go 1, 2, 3. So B prime is going to be -3. And we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. -3, 4. So our answer is C. There's some other ways you can figure this out. I think that's the easiest, and I'm going to stick with that. All right. So you look at this question, you think, wow, that's a word problem, a graph, and a bunch of numbers and letters all together. Like, this is a tough one. Let's just break it down. All right. So triangle ABC is translated -4 units vertically, 1 unit horizontally. What are the coordinates of the vertices of the image? All right, let's just start with A. All right, let's start with A. So A is going to be translated -4 units vertically. So it's going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's chill here. And then we're going to go to the right one because it's 1 unit horizontally. So it's positive 1 unit horizontally. So this is going to be an A prime. Well, we want to check where our point is. What is it? So remember, start at the origin. Start at the origin, and we go 1, 2, 3. So my A prime is going to be 3 something. 1, 2, 3, -3. Well, can't be A, can't be B, can't be C. Looks like it's definitely going to be D. I would encourage you, though, to check at least one more point. So if B goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the right one, you'll see that we have our point here on the x-axis, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So B prime would be 5, comma. We don't go up or down because it's on the y. I mean, it's on the x, sorry. And you'll see that that checks out. So D is definitely going to be a correct answer. All right, and then if you wanted to, C would end up here. And you can see that we have the exact same shape. It is just down and slightly to the right. All right, so we're going to dilate by a scale factor. We're dilating by a scale factor of 2. What are the new coordinates for x, y, z? So again, let's just pick one point. Let's start with x. You could pick any point you want to start with. I'm just going to start with x. I need to figure out what point that is. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be x. It's going to be -4. -4. I'm going to leave me some space. I'll come up 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, well, I know that my scale factor, it's in the problem, is +2. So I'm going to multiply both of these by +2. And what I will get is x prime. And my x prime will be a -8 and a +8. So when I check out my answers, I know B's not going to be good, C's not going to be good, and D's not going to be good. So A is looking pretty good. But we want to check another answer. So let's do y, or we want to check another point. Let's do y. When we know y is going to be 1, 2, and then down 1, 2. So y is 2, -2. 2, -2. Well, again, we're going to multiply both of these by our dilation factor, which is 2. And our y prime will become 4 times a -4. You see that checks out, and A is, in fact, our answer. All right, 3 more, and we can call it. Save some time. I'm just going to give you the points for A, but let's see. Translate the figure. We're translating the figure 4 units vertically and horizontally by 3 units. It's important you have to read these questions. I see a lot of kids mix it up and just do 4 units horizontally because they're used to doing x values first and then so forth. So make sure that you guys are actually reading these questions. Let's see. So what's my point for A? Well, it looks like it's -7, -8, -7, -8. Now, if you can do this problem all the way through by yourself, you're pretty good on translating. And you'll see that the next two are obviously different. B is going to be -5, -2, and C is going to be -3, -8. All right, so I know that we are translating the figure 4 units vertically. So let's do A. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's positive. And we're going to the right 3 because it's positive. So that's 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be my A prime. So let's do B too. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. This is going to be my B prime. And let's just get C out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Right, and that's going to be my C prime. Well, now we need to figure out what each of these points are. So let's get A, or A prime, I should say. We go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know my x value is going to be -4. And I'm coming down 1, 2, 3, 4. Which would be -4. I go to B, I go to the left, -2. Right, 1, 2, and then I go up 2. And C, it looks like I don't go anywhere left or right, and I just go down 1, 2, 3, 4. And these would be your new points. And if you were to graph this, you will see we have the same shape. It's just up and to the left. All right, again, we see now we are reflecting our image over the y-axis. You cannot stress how important it is to know where your y-axis is versus your x-axis. So my points for A are going to be 2, looks like 2, 1, B is 4, 4, and C is 9, 4. Well, if we're reflecting this whole image, right? Remember, we're going to count till we get to the Y. So I'm going to start with A and I go 1, 2. Well, if it took me 2 steps to get to Y, I need to go 2 steps past it. So 1, 2. And that's going to be my A prime. B, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And it took me 4 to get there, so I go 4 past it. 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be my B prime. And C, the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when you do that, your C prime will end out way over here. All right, if you wanted to draw your figure, you could see that this is, in fact, the same figure. All right, and all we have to do is find what our points are. So A is going to be negative 1, 2, up 1, so negative 2, 1. All right, B is going to be negative 4, up 4, so negative 4, 4. And C will be negative 9, up 4, negative 9, up 4. Something interesting to notice here, when you reflect over your y-axis, the only thing that changes really are that your x values become negative. So it's something you guys can think about. If you reflect over your x-axis, guess what? Your y values will become negative. But everything else stays the same. All right, last but not least, we are going to dilate the image by a scale factor of 3. Dilate image by scale factor of 3. All right, so I have this triangle here. I'm going to go and get my regular points. So A looks like it's negative 2, 2. B is negative 2, negative 3, negative 2, negative 3. And it looks like C is 3, negative 3, 3, negative 3. Remember, all we have to do is multiply all of our values by 3. So we're multiplying this guy by 3, multiplying this guy by 3, multiplying this guy by 3, this one by 3, this one by 3, this by 3, this by 3. All of them multiplied by 3. So negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. And if I wanted to plot these, you could see we get negative 6 all the way up to 6. That's going to be our A prime. And we have B, which would be negative 6 all the way, whoops, let me scroll down a little bit, all the way down to negative 9, which is going to be our B prime. And C will be 9, negative 9. And that's our C prime. And God knows there's no way I'm going to make these lines straight, but you can see that we are left with a triangle. It is just much larger than our previous triangle. Okay, so that's pretty much everything that we did today. If you have any questions, ask a teacher. Don't forget we have a test on Friday, and good luck.